So there is one well-known nazm, and the title is Maine Tujhe Dekha Hai. And the poet of this nazm mentions so many different qudras of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in all of those he says, Maine Tujhe Dekha Hai. Maine Fula mein Maine Tujhe Dekha Hai. Usme, Maine Tujhe Dekha Hai. Maine Tujhe Dekha Hai. So he mentions all the various different signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as Maine Tujhe Dekha Hai. And this is how a believer should be. When we see the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we recognize Allah ta'ala. We see Allah ta'ala in it. Some have already been mentioned in the previous verses. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the opening verse mentions that وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَيُرْسِلَ الرِّيَاحَ مُبَشِّرَاتٍ وَلْيُذِيقَكُم مِّن رَحْمَتِهِ وَلِتَجْرِيَ الْفُلْكُ بِأَمْرِهِ وَلِتَبْتَغُوا مِنْ فَضْلِهِ وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. And maybe this qudrat is one which nowadays we will appreciate a lot when we come to it. Allah Ta'ala says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ, and amongst his signs is that أَيُرْسِلَ الرِّيَاحَ, that he sends the winds. And the winds are what? Mubashirati, carriers of good news. Why are they carriers of good news? Because indicating that rain will soon arrive. That is one. And وَلْيُذِيقَكُم مِّن رَحْمَتِهِ, to let people have a taste of his mercy, meaning through the rain. وَلِتَجْرِيَ الْفُلْكُ بِأَمْرِهِ, and to allow ships to sail by his command. وَلِتَبْتَغُوا مِنْ فَضْلِهِ, so that you can seek from his bounty. وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ, so that you may show gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala here mentioning his ayats and signs, mentions the riyah, the winds. And the winds which are what? Mubashiratin, they are carriers of good news. Carriers of good news. Not so much here because we do not have the monsoon seasons here. But in warm countries where they have the monsoon, before it rains, and especially when there is a downfall, there is a wind, the wind blows. Those who've been to warmer climates, warmer countries will have experienced this. And when that wind blows, you know that this is the wind which will bring with it the rain. And that is the wind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions towards here. And this wind is mubashiratin, it is a carrier of good news. Because the rain, here for us we do not appreciate rain because we do have a fair bit of it. But in parts of the world where there is a great need of it, where there is drought in warm countries, even here in this country when it's summer and it's very warm as well, and for a few good days or weeks it hasn't rained, just look outside and we see all of the banks and how dry it becomes. The grass outside becomes so dry, then that is just a matter of a few days, a week or two, and no rain in the warm, how it becomes. So those countries who rely and need rain, for them whenever this type of wind blows, it is mubashirat, it is a carrier of good news for them, so that they are able to do what? وَلْيُذِيقَكُم مِّن رَحْمَتِهِ, give them a taste, Allah Ta'ala says, to let people have a taste of his rahmatihi, of his mercy. So rain is actually what? It is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, whenever there would be no rain, the Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would do the istisqa. Istisqa is to seek and ask Allah Ta'ala for rain. Either just in the form of dua, or either in the form of the actual istisqa, the salat itself. On one occasion, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was given a khutbah, and a person walked in, came into the masjid and said to Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, "O Nabi of Allah, we find very difficulty. Difficulty is that we have nothing to eat, and children and everybody are hungry, animals are hungry as well, and we cannot travel as well. The reason why you can't travel is because the animals are not fit enough to travel. Ask Allah Ta'ala for rain, because there was severe drought." Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam raised his hand, and on this occasion, in the khutbah, when Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam raised his hand, he raised his hand quite high. To that height wherein the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala mentioned that we could see the whiteness of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam's armpits. Armpits because they didn't have clothing and full-on jubbas as we have. Different occasions, the clothing of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam would be quite different. So this occasion, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't have a full garment on. So Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam raised his hand, and Nabi Kareem sallallahu raised his hands quite high up. Which shows us that when making dua, in normal dua, a person will not raise their hand right to the shoulders or above the shoulders. This is a Sahih hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but Nabi Kareem sallallahu did this on this specific occasion because there was a need. Hence, in our normal du'as, a person will not make the dua like this, as we find some people doing that. That although it is established in this hadith, in this incident, but Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam's normal du'as, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam's hands would be up to the chest. When there would be something of this nature, then Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam raised his hands to that extent. And it also shows that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when making dua in the khutbah, would not raise his hands in general. But on this occasion, because of the need, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam raised his hands high up in this manner. Hence, we do not raise our hands for dua during the khutbah. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for rain. And the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ta'ala mentioned that whilst Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam was making this dua, we saw a cloud come over and hover over us. And before Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam completed and came off the mimbar, we saw that there was water that was dripping from the forehead of Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala wasallam. Then it began to rain. The roofs were not solid roofs as we have now, so that's the reason the water would leak through. So Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam raised his hands, made dua, Allah Ta'ala sent down the rain. And the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala mentioned that entire week, that day, the following day, the following day, the following day, till the following Jummah, it rained continuously in Madinatul Munawwarah. To that extent, the people were speaking about the amount of rain. Then the following Jummah, what happened is that the same Sahabi who at that time come in and asked Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "O Nabi of Allah, make dua that we need rain." Now he came and said the same, "O Nabi of Allah, the homes have been destroyed, the roads have been flooded, and we are unable to travel as well because of the flooding. Make dua to Allah Ta'ala that the rain ceases." Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam smiled. And this is why Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam smiled, was because the same last week we were making dua for, asking for dua for rain, and now you are making dua that they should not rain, for the rain to cease. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam raised his hands, or Nabi Kareem made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what Nabi sallallahu made dua to Allah ta'ala. Allahumma hawalayna wa la alayna. Oh Allah, let it rain around us and not upon us. On the hilltops, on the mountains, and where the trees are. Meaning where the rain is needed, send the rain there. Which shows what Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala sallam didn't make dua to Allah Ta'ala, Allah stop the rain. He didn't make dua, Allah Ta'ala stop the rain. Because rain is what? Min rahmatihi, from the rahmat and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we always need the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Nabi Kareem didn't make such dua to Allah Ta'ala. This is what we learn from this as well. How, as I mentioned in the month of Ramadan as well, the uniqueness of what? The masnoon du'as that we have. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not make, let's say, Allahumma ghithna ghaythan mughitha. When we ask for rain as well, we ask Allah Ta'ala that grant us rain, but rain which is what? Nafi and ghayra dharin. Nafi which is beneficial to us, and not such rain which will bring harm towards us when it becomes flooding and such situations and that. So we make that dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And here Nabi Kareem sallallahu teaches as well that he didn't make dua that Allah Ta'ala stop the rain, but said to send the rain to where it is needed rather than it falling upon us. The Sahaba radiallahu anhu mentioned that on the same Friday when we left the masjid, we noticed what? That the Madinah Munawwara became like a crown. Crown meaning that the rain clouds were now around the outskirts of Madinah Munawwara. And within Madinah Munawwara itself, central Madinah Munawwara was totally open. Like you have a ring, a crown. So in this way, the middle was open, and the whole week where they had not seen the sun, now they could see the brightness of the sun, but the clouds and the rain were all on the outskirts of Madinah Munawwara. So this shows how Allah Ta'ala says, "Min rahmatihi," that rain is the rahmat of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And when this rain stops, that's why you have the Salat al-Istisqa, the Dua of Istisqa, where people go out, and when the actual Dua or Salat Istisqa takes place, the method of that is that the women, menfolk, the children, women, they all go to the outskirts and they take the animals as well. And they wear clothing, they don't go out as if it's Eid, the day of Eid, but you go out with your old clothing to show yourself in a state of desperation and need. So you take the children out as well, the women as well, and also the animals, because when it doesn't rain, it isn't just human beings who have been affected by it. The animals are also greatly affected by it as well. So this is to what? To draw the mercy and rahmat of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And in the istisqa that Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would seek, we seek forgiveness from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. We show our humility to Allah Ta'ala, so that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala shows His mercy and Allah Ta'ala sends the rain down. Alhamdulillah, we do not have Salat al-Istisqa here, we don't have the need for it. But in many countries, especially warm countries in the Middle East as well, they have it regularly in the Haram as well. They have Salat al-Istisqa on a regular basis. Further, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala mentions that one of the other purpose of the rain, of the wind is, along with it bringing the great tidings of rain, وَلِتَجْرِيَ الْفُلْكُ بِأَمْرِهِ, that by means of the winds, Allah sends the winds to allow ships to sail, and that too بِأَمْرِهِ, by His command. Why? So that وَلِتَبْتَغُوا مِنْ فَضْلِهِ, so that you seek from His bounty, meaning earn your livelihood. Ships and the creation of a ship, which Allah Ta'ala mentions in the Qur'an, is another great bounty of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. If it wasn't for this, how much hardship and difficulty would be in? And maybe now we appreciate these type of things because when now conditions, international conditions are such, there is so much delay in shipments. Where there is so much delay in shipments. One was a COVID, and then various wars in the world, various other reasons, and that. China under constant lockdowns, due to which so much goods from there are not being reaching these places. It can't get to where it needs to be exported to. So how dependent we are, and the amount of goods that reach us and gets to the various parts of the world by means of ships. Even now in the 21st century, when modes of conveyances have developed so much, but insan, we are still so much in need of cargo ships. Yes, we'll have your cruisers and these type of liners and that, which are very sophisticated, luxurious things that they have. But ships are still the same, simple in that, because they do the work of what cargoing goods throughout the world. And this is the great qudrat of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. But Allah Ta'ala reminds us as well, وَلِتَجْهِ الْفُلْكُ, but that too بِأَمْرِهِ. So one of the purpose of the wind is that the wind, it is because of the wind that the ship is able to, the sails, the ship and the boats are able to sail. That's why for them, the direction of the wind is very, very important. But at the same time, Allah Ta'ala says that this is bi-amrihi, this is solely through the command of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Whereas such a mighty mode of transport, and the amount that a ship on its own, without any cargo, weighs, that itself is so much, that put into the sea itself should have sunk. But Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has made it such. And by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala giving the knowledge to Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam, who built the first ship of that nature, That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through His command, Allah ta'ala created it, made it. And that too in the form that we have in the modern ship now as well. The layout of it, the design of it. A manner in which it manages to sail. It is not sink. And then on top of it, the amount of cargo that is loaded. I mean, you've seen it, if you have been to the ports, or if you've seen pictures of it. The big huge containers, how many containers, so many containers are laden on it. With great amount of items on it as well. And in those containers as well, they have so many vehicles and massive huge trucks and whatnot are in those containers, and those containers are then put onto it as well. So how much is laden onto this ship? And this ship is able to bear the weight of it, and it sails, and it reaches us throughout the world. So this too is only through bi-amrihi, the command of Allah Ta'ala. If Allah Ta'ala wants to, Allah Ta'ala can command the wind to become a disaster as well. That the wind, instead of it being one that the ship can sail through, it comes in a form of a storm. And that ship then becomes the Titanic. The ship then doesn't get to its destination. So it is all through the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that وَلِتَبْتَغُوا مِنْ فَضْلِهِ, so that you are able to seek from His bounty. And again here, fadl, Allah Ta'ala refers for livelihood with the word fadl as well. Earn your livelihood. Because goods that you want, if somebody has what business here, and the goods that they sell here come from Asia also, and majority of it comes from China. So how is it going to come? It's not going to be put onto an aeroplane and come through that way to you. So majority of it comes by ship. So many people are dependent on their goods reaching them, and they need to reach them by means of ship. And people are worried into the shortages, there's waitings and the shortages. Why? Because of conditions, because of these delays, and now people, so much disruption there is on land. Which just shows that, look, over 1400 years ago, Allah Ta'ala is already mentioning to us these modes of transport. These qudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which we took for granted, isn't it? We took it all for granted, expecting that, look, whatever, all goods, whenever we go to the supermarkets, whatever we want will always be there. If it's not in one, then we'll get it in the next one. And if it's not today, then they'll stock up in the evening, and by tomorrow you will get it also. So we have always taken these things for granted. Not expecting that, yes, you will go to the supermarket and you'll sign there saying we'll be back soon. We're working on it also. And there is shortages, or there is nothing, the shelves are totally empty. Things which we took for granted. Things which we took for granted. And that is what Allah Ta'ala is reminding us here, that look, these are all a qudrat of Allah Ta'ala. How there is a system in place where all these things throughout the world reaches us. And nobody would even have thought that so many, the world is so dependent on Ukraine. The world is so dependent on goods coming from Ukraine. Who would have thought so, isn't it? So in this way, now you know what goods come from Ukraine. But Allah Ta'ala mentions here as well that the whole nizam system Allah Ta'ala has created is for what? So that وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ, so that you may show gratitude. Show gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created His system, that food and every item for that matter, things from various parts of the world reaches us where we need it. And all we have to do, we don't need to worry at all about it. We just go to the stores and the shops and that, and everything is there. Imagine if each individual item we ourselves had to place an order for these things. How difficult that would be for us. Something from Turkey, something from Germany, something from China, something from Indonesia, from Malaysia, something from whichever countries that these things come from. We had to place individual orders for them. How difficult life would be. For clothing as well, you have to order from this country, that country, from here and there. Allah Ta'ala has made it so easy for us that throughout the world, and it isn't just here, it is throughout the world, the goods get to where it needs to. So every country in the world, yes, there are those who have more supplies, who are in a better condition than other countries, that, like we are, alhamdulillah, where we are able to have things from all over the world, almost all the time. But this is system, nizam that Allah Ta'ala has created, وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ, so that we ponder over these things and we show gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ رُسُلًا إِلَىٰ قَوْمِهِمْ فَجَاءُوهُمْ بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ فَانْتَقَمْنَا مِنَ الَّذِينَ أَجْرَمُوا وَكَانَ حَقًّا عَلَيْنَا نَصْرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Further Allah mentions, and this is addressing Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala sallam, that وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ, that we have undoubtedly sent before you rusulan, many rusul, إِلَىٰ قَوْمِهِمْ, to their nations. And they too, فَجَاءُوهُمْ بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ, they also who brought clear signs, meaning the miracles to them, to prove that they are the true messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But despite all of this, they still rejected. فَانْتَقَمْنَا مِنَ الَّذِينَ أَجْرَمُوا وَكَانَ حَقًّا عَلَيْنَا نَصْرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. But Allah Ta'ala says, we then took revenge. فَانْتَقَمْنَا, we then took revenge مِنَ الَّذِينَ أَجْرَمُوا, from those who sinned, by punishing them here. And وَكَانَ حَقًّا عَلَيْنَا, Allah Ta'ala says, it has always been our responsibility upon my bondsmen, Nasrul Mu'mineen. It has always been our obligatory responsibility to assist the Mu'mineen. Means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned here that Allah Ta'ala will always assist the Mu'mineen. The Haqqan Alayna Nasrul Mu'mineen refers towards at a time of war and battle. That whenever there is a battle between the believers and non-believers, Allah Ta'ala will always help and assist the mu'mineen. That is what Allah Ta'ala's word here. Now we may wonder and ask and pose a question, that Allah Ta'ala is saying so here, that Allah Ta'ala will always help the believers against the disbelievers, but there are so many times wherein that isn't the case. It is always not the case, because there are times wherein the Muslims are defeated as well. So how is this possible? One answer to that is the fact that Allah Ta'ala here says Al-Mu'mineen, Alif Lam. And Al-Mu'mineen here refers towards the true Mu'mineen. It refers towards the true Mu'mineen. That as long as a person is a true mu'min, meaning as well that his battle is also for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that person will experience the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If however a person isn't a true mu'min, or that a person is fighting, but they are not, their intention is not solely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they will not experience the nusrat and the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what it means. Hence we find during time Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam as well, during the battle of Uhud, there too the Muslims, the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala, their intentions had changed as well, where they went into Uhud thinking, where فَقَدْ أَعْجَبَتْهُمْ كَثْرَتُهُ, where their numbers had deceived them. The Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala went into it a little overconfident. That in Badr we only 330 to be victorious, and here we are much more, so we'll definitely be victorious here. And then during the battle itself, the command of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the archers to not leave their post, whatever happens, they should not leave their post. But then when they saw that the booty was being gathered, they left their post. These were certain matters that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala disliked at that time. So that's when there was then the defeat that came across them, and the Muslims were then defeated in the battle of Uhud. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that was to do what the Islah of the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala, so that now the intention becomes correct as well. And they realize as well that it isn't the numbers, it is just the help and nusrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in this way there will be times wherein defeats will come about. And tilka al-ayyamu nudawiluha bayna an-nas. There are times when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring about such defeat, so that the Muslims can turn further to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and focus themselves greater towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is one tafsir here of وَكَانَ حَقًّا عَلَيْنَا نَصْرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Another tafsir of this is related to a hadith of Tirmizi, when Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions that when a Muslim brother saves and he protects the honor of another Muslim, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes it upon him to save him from the fire of Jahannam. And after mentioning this hadith, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam recited the verse وَكَانَ حَقًّا عَلَيْنَا نَصْرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Means that when one mu'min honors another mu'min. For instance, a person is humiliating another mu'min, and another stops him, prevents him from that. Or a person is speaking ill of another mu'min, and you say, no, look, you got it wrong, he's not like this, he's like this, and you honor that person. You protect the honor of another mu'min. The reward of that is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you saved his honor, Allah ta'ala will save you from the fire of Jahannam. وَكَانَ حَقًّا عَلَيْنَا نَصْرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Because we help that mu'min, Allah ta'ala will help us as well. We will also get the nusrat and help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Further, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that Allahu alladhi yursilu riyaha. Allah ta'ala who sends the wind. فَتُثِيرُ سَحَابًا, which carry the clouds. فَيَبْسُطُهُ فِي السَّمَاءِ, spreading them across the sky. كَيْفَ يَشَاءُ, as He wills. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spreads the clouds as He wills, so the clouds arrive wherever Allah ta'ala intends it to rain. كَيْفَ يَشَاءُ وَيَجْعَلُهُ كِسَفًا, and He then breaks the clouds. Kisafan means fragments. فَتَرَى الْوَدْقَ, after which you see rain, يَخْرُجُ مِنْ خِلَالِهِ, falling from its midst. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let's imagine these clouds, which to us just look like cotton wool in the heavens. But just imagine, look at the amount of rain that falls from them. Just take one bucket of water, and that one bucket of water itself, a small bucket of water full with water, that becomes so heavy for us. Now just imagine the weight of one cloud, and that too rain-bearing clouds. Here we talk about rain-bearing clouds. Just imagine how heavy those clouds will be. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's no huge cranes in the heavens carrying those loads of steel, rods and something, ropes and that, carrying them anywhere at all. But they move, and فَتُثِيرُ سَحَابًا, Allah ta'ala sends the winds, and the winds are now controlling those clouds. And those clouds will only reach where Allah ta'ala wants it to rain. To that extent that just within our own area itself, it might rain here in West Town, but you go down the road and you go to Savile Town and it's dry. Or whilst you're in Savile Town, it is dry there, and you come up the hill and then you come to West Town area and you find what? That the roads are wet here. So whilst you're just there for a few moments, it rains here. So this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends the rain, the clouds, and then Allah ta'ala says, كَيْفَ يَشَاءُ, where He wants to, that is, so the clouds are not on self-drive that they get to wherever they feel they want to, they only reach where Allah ta'ala wants it to. And وَيَجْعَلَهُ كِسَفًا, and then Allah ta'ala says, then He breaks the clouds into fragments. Meaning they are layer upon layer. And after which you see rain falling from its midst, from within it, that's where the rain falls from. فَإِذَا أَصَابَ بِهِ مَنْ يَشَاءُ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ إِذَا هُمْ يَسْتَبْشِرُونَ. And when Allah Ta'ala sends it, meaning the rain, to His bondsmen, whom He wills as well, إِذَا هُمْ يَسْتَبْشِرُونَ, they become happy by it. Which also shows that Allah Ta'ala sends His rain, but He will only send His rain to مَنْ يَشَاءُ, whoever He wills from His bondsmen. It doesn't just go wherever it wants to. It is only to whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to send it to, only that will it rain. Hence we too, when it does rain and we find that it's raining a lot and it might be causing inconvenience to us, then we should also read the Mas'un du'as as well. Allahumma hawalina wa la alayna, Allahumma ala al-akami wa zirabi, and the other du'as as well that Nabi Kareem has taught us with regards to when it rains. So that at least this way we're not asking Allah Ta'ala to totally alleviate the rain. But in the case of we need the rain, it is something that is beneficial for us, something that is needed. But we ask Allah Ta'ala at that time so that the rain should reach where it's needed more than where it is not needed. وَإِنْ كَانُوا مِنْ قَبْلِ أَن يُنَزِّلَ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ لَمُبْلِسِينَ. Allah Ta'ala says that even though before it was sent to them, they were despondent. Allah Ta'ala says that the people who become إِذَا هُمْ يَسْتَبْشِرُونَ, they become happy with the rain. Although their condition was such that before the rain came to them, their condition was one of them being despondent. Meaning that they had lost hope of receiving rain. And then after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends down the rain upon them that brings about a lot of happiness and pleasure to them. Along with this mention of rain, there are those Mufassirin who are also of the opinion that here rain also refers towards, in actual fact it refers towards spiritual revival. That's where there was no hope of Iman, there Allah Ta'ala grants Iman. Because just the way it rain will do what? Where there was no hope of life, the rain falls and the rain then brings life to the land, the fields and the crops. Where there is no hope of Iman, there Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala sends the rain, means a spiritual revival, and people come into the fold of Islam. Further Allah Subhanahu mentioned, فَانْظُرْ إِلَىٰ آثَارِ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ كَيْفَ يُحْيِي الْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا إِنَّ ذَلِكَ لَمُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى وَهُوَ عَلَىٰ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. فَانْظُرْ, Allah Ta'ala says, so look at what? إِلَىٰ آثَارِ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ, at the evidence of the signs of the mercy of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. كَيْفَ يُحْيِي الْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا, how He revives the earth after its death. إِنَّ ذَلِكَ لَمُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى وَهُوَ عَلَىٰ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Undoubtedly, it is only Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala who لَمُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى, who gives life to the dead, and وَهُوَ عَلَىٰ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ, and He has power over all things. Means that a person should never lose hope in Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, as it is only Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala who sends down His mercies this way, and this rain and all the system that Allah Ta'ala has created for us. Allah Ta'ala says, look at these things, at these signs, for what purpose? To appreciate the mercy of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, to appreciate the qudrat of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and how in ذَلِكَ لَمُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى. And as I mentioned to you in summer, notice it. If you haven't done this summer, look at it. If it doesn't rain for a couple of weeks, then look around you, look at the grass around you, and you'll see how dry it becomes. And when it becomes so dry, you just wonder what's going to happen. And so many parts of the world, like Australia and other countries, because the grass becomes so dry, so dry, so dry, and the sun is so intense, that's where they have fires in that. Forest fires in that which sometimes are even out of control, bringing havoc to homes, lives, and animals as well. So much danger comes about. It is these parts of the world where they will appreciate rain even more, where it becomes so dry, and for them, as Allah Ta'ala mentions, إِذَا هُمْ يُسْتَبْشِرُونَ, when they will see these clouds, these rain-bearing clouds, then it will bring a lot of enjoyment and pleasure to them. So these are things that when you see these things, it should do what? It should bring you close to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And Allah Ta'ala says that وَلَئِنْ أَرْسَلْنَا رِيحًا, verily if we have to send a destructive wind, then فَرَعُوهُ مُصْفَرًّا, then they, meaning the disbelievers, have to see it yellow. Meaning that the fields will become yellow, and that after the life has been taken away from it, لَظَلُّوا مِنْ بَعْدِهِ يَكْفُرُونَ, they will begin to show ingratitude for all the bounties of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, not realizing that Allah Ta'ala's favors on them far outweigh the calamity that is upon them. That when Allah Ta'ala sends a destructive wind, so there are times when in this rain and the wind is a mercy of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and there are times wherein the rain or the wind is in actual fact what it is? A destruction from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. فَإِنَّكَ لَا تُسْمِعُ الْمَوْتَ وَلَا تُسْمِعُ الصُّمَّ الدُّعَاءَ إِذَا وَلَّوْا مُدْبِرِينَ. Further Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala mentions that فَإِنَّكَ لَا تُسْمِعُ الْمَوْتَ, you cannot make the dead hear, وَلَا تُسْمِعُ الصُّمَّ الدُّعَاء, nor can you make the deaf hear a call, إِذَا وَلَّوْا مُدْبِرِينَ, when they turn their backs. وَمَا أَنْتَ بِهَادِ الْعُمْيِ عَنْ ضَلَالَتِهِمْ إِن تُسْمِعُ إِلَّا مَنْ يُؤْمِنُ بِآيَاتِنَا فَهُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. And you cannot guide the spiritually blind from the deviation, and you can make only those people here who believe in our ayat and are willing to be Muslims. This is a translation of these last two verses, which I had recited to you, hoping to finish off till this ruku. But the tafsir of it will need more than just the last couple of minutes that we have left. So this will just keep it to the translation of these verses, and inshallah we'll do the tafsir of it in the following tafsir next week, inshallah. From the verses that we have covered, again Allah Ta'ala repeatedly throughout the Qur'an mentions these verses of His, these ayat and signs of His. The purpose of these signs and ayat of Allah Ta'ala is that we reflect on these, so that we see Allah Ta'ala, we recognize Allah Ta'ala. So we see Allah Ta'ala in the rain, we see Allah Ta'ala in His clouds, we see Allah Ta'ala in the winds, we see Allah Ta'ala in the fields and the crops. And when we see these cargo ships and that, in all of these that Allah Ta'ala mentions here, we see what? We see the qudrat of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala in these. Allah Ta'ala grants all understanding. رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ وَتُبْ عَلَيْنَا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ سُبْحَانَ رَبِّكَ رَبِّ الْعِزَّةِ عَمَّا يَصِفُونَ وَسَلَامٌ عَلَى الْمُرْسَلِينَ وَالْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ.